Hi, I'm Jake. I make RPG supplements and videos about Pathfinder 2, or PF2. I love PF2. This is the most comprehensive, fun freaking system run by actual nerds that I've ever played. This is great. Okay. Tian Xia Kitsune. Kitsune Heritage. Well, new Kitsune Heritage. Palace Echoes Kitsune. Is it Kitsune or Kitsune? It's probably Kitsune. Probably. You descend from Kitsune, who possessed such compelling powers of persuasion that they could walk into a palace at sunrise and end up as the power behind the throne by nightfall. You gain the Nudging Whisper action. This fits Japanese myth. I love that feel. Nudging Whisper, 1 action, Curse, Divine, Emotion, Mental Traits. Effect. You lace your words with echoes of your ancestors' magic. If your next action is to request, you gain the effects of the Shameless Request feat. And if your next action is to lie, you gain the effects of the Confabulator feat. That's cool. And also, something to point out, because you usually get skill feats at 2nd level, you start the game with these. So you don't even have to have the opportunity to take skill feats. You just get these. If you critically fail at either check, the target and anyone who witnessed you fail becomes immune to your Nudging Whisper for 1 day, though this doesn't necessarily let them know that you attempted to charm them. Your alternative form is a common medium humanoid ancestry prevalent where you grew up, typically human, called a tailless form. That was predictable. Kitsune Ancestry Feats. 1st level. 7 changes performance. Prerequisite. Trained in performance. While Kitsune are known for their magical illusion powers, you are skilled at stage magic, especially costuming and quick changes. You gain the Quick Disguise feat. You can use performance in place of deception for the purposes of impersonating someone. Cool. That totally fits a Kitsune in general, so that's great. 5th level feats. Wow, we're skipping any other 1st level feats? All right. 5th level feat. Rekindled Light. It's a reaction. It has the healing and vitality traits. Prerequisites Star Orb. That's interesting. Frequency once per day. Trigger, you or an ally within 30 feet of your Star Orb familiar would be reduced to 0 hit points but not immediately killed. You temporarily drain your Star Orb familiar's energy to save an ally. The target avoids being knocked out and remains at 1 hit point, and their wounded condition increases by 1. The target then regains hit points equal to your level. That's cool. When the familiar's energy is drained, it becomes dormant until your next daily preparations. Okay, so you lose your familiar, but you save your ally. And yeah, the wounded condition does increase, but they heal a little bit. And the primary thing is just that they keep acting. They don't have to wait until somebody gets them up. So they don't lose turns in combat. And that's a big deal in a combat, especially if they're the ones protecting your ass. Level 5 feat Vulpine Scamper. Vulpine Scamper, I think. Prerequisites Fox alternate form. It doesn't mean that has to be your original form. It just means that you have to have that form. You're especially nimble while in your full fox shape. While you've changed shape into a fox, you gain the following benefits. You can use your own speed if it's higher than 20 feet. That's neat! You can use your own athletics modifier for checks to high jump or long jump. You can scale short distances with a bit of a running start. When you attempt to climb, and your previous action was to stride at least 20 feet along solid ground, you gain a climb speed of 20 feet for the duration of that climb action. Neat! Just a super dexterous little fox. I like that a lot. Next feat, level 9, Fox Arson. I think I'm going to like this one. It has the fire trait. Prerequisites Foxfire. When you critically hit with a Foxfire strike, that's a tail fire thing. You shoot it from your tail. When you critically hit with a Foxfire strike, the target takes an additional 1d4 persistent damage of the same type as the Foxfire. You gain an item bonus to this persistent damage equal to the Foxfire's item bonus to attack rolls. When the target taking persistent damage comes into physical contact with another creature, for instance, if one of its allies touches it while administering first aid, you can use a reaction to command the flame to leap to the second target, ending the persistent damage on the first creature and moving it to the second. That's funny! I like that, and that's also especially useful if your enemies are using strategy. Like if they're not just mindless undead or animals, and they're trying to form ranks to protect their weaker people, and the weaker person is trying to heal the fighter, for example, you can make the fire jump to the healer. Alright, that's funny. I like that. Fox Arson. Next feat, level 9, Many Guises. Prerequisites, Shifting Faces. You can use Shifting Faces 3 times per day instead of once per day. Awesome! I wanted that. I'm glad that came out. Good. Next feat, level 13, Larger Than Life. Prerequisite, Shifting Faces. When you change shape, you can assume the form of a creature that's large or huge in size. In addition to your increased space, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to intimidation checks. That's useful. It's not the enlarged spell, so it doesn't give you reach, but it does make you cover more spaces, so you effectively do cover more of the battlefield as if you had reach, sort of. It's useful. Next feat, level 17, Fox Possession. You can project a spiritual form to possess another. You can cast Possession as an innate divine spell once per day. This is totally what I was thinking of when I was thinking about the Kitsune myths. You can cast Possession as an innate divine spell once per day. The target of your possession assumes one or more unusual quirks, such as more angular features or strange food preferences, giving the target a -1 circumstance penalty to their deception DC when someone uses sense motive to see if they're possessed. That's fun. So overall, it made them more mobile, more beneficial to allies. That's obviously a good thing. It gave them a legendary possession ability. That's neat. Let you disguise yourself faster and with performance, and lets you do shifting faces more times per day. Those are good things. And we can't forget Fox Arson, because making fire jump is just cool. But the Palace Echo's Kitsune Nudging Whisper is really strong. That's a good heritage power, and it feels quite unique. I like that heritage. And now on to kobolds, because people like kobolds, and they requested it. So you requested it. That's what we're doing. Tian Kobolds. First, lore. If you don't want to hear the lore, skip to this time. We'll go to the heritages and then feats. Long ago, kobolds discovered that proximity to powerful magical creatures, such as dragons, could impart power into unhatched kobold eggs. As a result, these innovative reptilian humanoids found themselves in service to mighty magical beings, taking extreme pride in their patrons. In Tian Xia, kobolds, who typically stand around 3 feet tall, are frequently associated with imperial dragons, spirits, yaoguai, immortals of the celestial court, and kaiju. Ooh, cool. Kobolds who serve the imperial dragons or heaven itself have a long tradition of being petty bureaucrats and scribes. Quite different. These kobolds are respected and often have high status despite their slight stature. Kobolds who follow imperial dragons resemble their patrons. They have horned heads, they're wingless, and they balance themselves with tails that stretch almost as long as their bodies. That's neat. They also practice spells and magic based on the 5 elements that are harnessed by the imperial dragons. Each kobold has a unique understanding of these elements, and as such, they're sometimes found in villages selling and using these spells for medicinal purposes. Those kobolds who have less talent at crafting or fall short on the exams end up in other careers. Really? There's exams? Imperial kobolds who choose a different line of work are often found in loyal courts or monasteries, tending to the koi that live in the gardens and ponds. Kobolds believe that taking care of these beautiful fish can bring the koi closer to their dragon ancestors. And one day, if they're lucky, the koi that they care for will transform into a magnificent imperial dragon and grant their stalwart caretaker a wish of their heart's desires. Yeah, okay, that happens in folklore, so I get it. Though such a story has been documented and the divine dragon carp Jin Li seems to indicate such a thing is possible, it remains unclear whether the vignette stemmed from fact or rumor. Kobolds associated with kaiju live in the distant regions of their patrons, such as the deserts of Shangwang or the Valashmai jungle, and are thus rarely encountered. While they can't communicate with their chosen patrons any better than other residents of Tian Xia, they often serve as caretakers or repositories of knowledge about these kaiju. Kobolds who receive a sliver of their kaiju's patrons' power have a primal might that can shake the earth and rock the heavens, packed into their compact forms. Little formed little kaiju. The Kobold Ancestry can be found on Player Core 20, pages 20 and 23, doesn't matter. Kobold Heritages. Kobolds in Tian Xia have access to the following heritages. Heaven Scribe Kobold, uncommon. Your connection to wise and celestial imperial dragons has led others to seek your advice. You can speak Draconic. Whenever you critically fail a diplomacy check to make an impression or request, you get a failure instead. Cool. That's useful in general. Mighty Fall Kobold, uncommon. Your proximity to a mighty kaiju has caused you to grow strong and hardy. You gain 10 hit points from your ancestry instead of 6. Instead of the normal attribute boosts and flaws, you can choose to gain a boost to strength, a boost to charisma, and a flaw to intelligence. Fine. I never really care about those because you can take the alternate ability boosts anyway. Kobold Ancestry Feats. The following feats are available to kobolds with cultural ties to the dragon empires or those who have absorbed the magic of an imperial dragon or a kaiju. Okay, makes sense. First level, Koi Secrets. Access Tian Xia Origin. Due to their beautiful colors, ornamental koi are often found in parks and gardens where townsfolk roam. They hear the gossip and rumors that folks above the water spread. You can ask questions of, receive answers from, and use the diplomacy skill with fish. As you are a friend of koi, who also strive to be a mighty being one day, koi, as well as carp and goldfish, have a starting attitude toward you of one step better, typically making them friendly. I want to reiterate that it lets you ask questions of, receive answers from, and use the diplomacy skill with fish. Not just koi and carp and goldfish. But you can do that with all fish. That's extremely useful. There's lots of fish in the world. Next feat, level 5. Duck. Your long experience with your erratic patrons and their peers has given you a lot of practice in hitting the deck when you hear the rumbling of a powerful entity. When you roll a critical failure on a reflex saving throw against an ability that targets an area and was caused by a huge or larger creature, you get a failure instead. That's great. And when you roll a success against such an effect, you get a critical success instead. That's awesome. Yes. Yes. Dragon Breath. You just dodge that shit. That's great. Okay. Next feat. Level 5. Friend of the family. Prerequisite. Heaven Scribe Kobold heritage. You come from a long line of Imperial Kobolds. If you meet a stranger who has some political standing in Tian Xia, they might know someone from your family line. You gain a +2 circumstance bonus to diplomacy checks to make an impression or request when speaking to politicians or other officials. That's a bent on kobolds I did not expect. But obviously, fun. Next feat. Wow, we're skipping 9th entirely. Level 13. Imperial Dragon Potion. Prerequisites. Heaven Scribe Kobold Heritage. Expert in crafting. During your daily preparations, you can spend 10 minutes to create a variant energy breath potion, which has the Kobold trait in addition to its normal traits. This doesn't say you have to have alchemical crafting at all. You just make the damn thing. I don't know, you spit in a bottle. The variant potion is influenced by Imperial Dragon magic, granting it the effect corresponding to your dragon benefactor. The DC for the breath is the higher of your class DC or spell DC. The potion becomes inert if not used by your next daily preparation, so it has no value if sold. This doesn't say you have to be the one to use it. You just make it. You can give it to somebody else. That's cool. Okay, so the Imperial Dragon type and the effect. There's only 5. I'm just gonna read them. Dragon, Forest. Effect. Insects dealing piercing damage in a 15-foot cone reflex save. That's gross. Sea Dragons. The effect is water dealing bludgeoning damage in a 30-foot line reflex save. That makes sense. Sky Dragon. The effect is lightning dealing electricity damage in a 30-foot line reflex save. Also makes sense. Sovereign Dragon. A psychic roar dealing mental damage on a 15-foot cone will save. That's cool. Underworld Dragon. Flames that deal fire damage on a 15-foot cone reflex. That's neat. I love it. It's like the witch's cauldron, but it doesn't matter what class you are. Oh god, that's awesome. I like more alchemical stuff or potions. It's just fun. Okay. Next feat, level 13, Kaiju's Footfalls. Prerequisites, Mighty Fall Kobold Heritage. You channel the might and mass of a kaiju. You can cast Enlarge as an innate primal spell twice per day, targeting yourself. The first time each turn you high jump, leap, or long jump while affected by this spell, creatures of your size or smaller adjacent to where you land must attempt a reflex save against your class DC or spell DC, whichever is higher. Failure, the creature is knocked prone. Critical failure, the creature is knocked prone and takes 2d6 bludgeoning damage. At 17th level, you can choose to heighten this innate Enlarge spell to 4th rank, so then you would become huge, instead of just large. That's fun. Okay, that's neat. I like it. I think that's it for Kobolds. Yeah, that's it for Kobolds. Okay, there you have it. Kitsune and Kobolds in Tian Xia. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. If you're a patron, thank you for helping out the channel. If you want to check out the Discord and join us to just chat about stuff, bullshit about nerdy things, especially anime right now, come to the Discord, links in the description. So's a link for Patreon. If you want to sign up for $5 a month or more, you get a chance to win a big 45mm die, or a dice tray, or a dice bag, or something dicey, or a set of dice. Depends, every month it's random. If you want to see the rest of the Tian Xia playlist, it's over here. If you want to see archetypes, they're over here. If you want to see me again, just come back later. Click over there. Wisdom check. Okay, thanks, bye.